Yo, what's good? Welcome to another episode of Shadow Gym, the vlog. I'm your host, Torin Gooley. Want to check back in because I know I haven't recorded in a minute. It's been a little while. This is second shadow work update. This is the little series that I got going in within that. And man, helicopters, sirens, it would start right now. So anyways, last shadow work update. I was going through it. Contrast moment to say the least. I was dragging myself through the vibrational mud, beating up on myself, like feeling like shit. At the time I was unemployed, scrapped for cash, having issues making ends meet, that adding to just general stress. And on top of that, at the same time dealing with resurfacing feelings about a breakup that I had over a year ago, and that's still like such a huge like part of my life. So, just feelings of just unworthiness, unwantedness, and eventually I came to a point during all that just self-loathing and self-chastising, where I just came to a point where I was like, you know what? Like, never mind, like, the job. I put my job search on hold. Like, never mind the relationship. Got back off of dating apps, off of social media and stuff again. I was like, fuck all that. I want to just not feel like shit anymore. Like, I made my focus on that. Like, I just want to feel better than this. Like, I was having crazy anxiety attacks, headaches, not sleeping well, things of that nature. Mainly just the anxiety. The anxiety was the worst, I have to say. I just got to a point where, you know what, just fuck the manifestations. Like, I just want these negative feelings, like, gone. And then that led me to come to a point where I was just like setting intention to just really let these feelings go. Just like, look, I just want to not feel this anymore. And what that ended up looking like practically is me just letting go of feelings of control, realizing what was in my control and what was out of my control, and not trying to use actions to force things to go to force things that are going to go the way that they're going to go no matter what. just not trying to force it, and that came in the form of me not applying for jobs. I've been waiting to tell this story on camera. Up until that point, I was applying for, at least 100 jobs a week. I had to have applied for, in the time I was unemployed, I had to have applied for at least like 400 jobs, like easily. And since that time, I ended up getting a job, right? But the job that I ended up getting, I didn't even apply for. The people ended up sending me a message saying that they found my resume, yada, yada, yada. And I ended up getting that job. So, yeah, so there's good news in this. I ended up manifesting in a new job. The company that I got hired by sends us equipment, sent us our own laptops and a couple extra monitors and shit like that. And so I was like, it's crazy that I literally manifested physically like exactly what I was looking for, like after I finally let go of the emotions that were holding me back and making it harder, and that right there was just another, yet again, this is about the third time this happened in the last couple of years, like just like the mega slap in the face to let you know the law of attraction is real. And I still have to make a video about that, by the way, which is on the way. The law of attraction is real. I attracted the situation that led me to the negative feelings, that led me to realize what I needed to let go of and what I needed to do. And once I was finally able to let go and release and do it, now my experience started molding around my new feelings, which was calm, which was peace, which was security, that I finally just allowed myself to feel, even without having the job there, and then ended up coming, right? So to move along with the update part about this, the last few weeks or so up until today, I've kind of been feeling mixed feelings about it, to be honest. Honestly, I haven't felt the way that I feel now since I was around about 18 or 19 years old. And back then is when I was pretty much set off into the world. I was on my way to college. And I was pretty much set off to the world to do my own thing. That was the freest I ever felt. And like, once again, I have like that level of freedom. This time I have the stability. And for the first time, it's not dependent on somebody else. This is completely manifested out of my own feeling of security. So, because before, when I was on my own, I was crazy unhappy. That was back when I was working at the post office as a mail processor, working overnight, crazy shifts, like intense, brutal, physically and mentally taxing work. And, you know, back then, I never saw something like this possible. And it's like now I make over twice what I made back then. And I do it from home, working regular hours. Like, this is a Sunday. If I was still working there, I'd be trying to go to sleep right now in order to fucking wake up a couple hours and now to go to work. But now I don't have to worry about that anymore, you know? So basically, like, a clean slate. But, you know, I still wasn't feeling the level of joy that I did the first time that this happened, you know, when I got my job that I had last year, you know? At the beginning of last year, towards around this time, like, I was just like on this unrivaled high. Like, I had just like discovered my manifestation powers, you know? I was before that I was living in the home with my parents. I was living at home with my parents, and things really weren't going right, especially towards the end there, and I was just feeling more and more just in self-despair. And when I finally found a way, and on top of that, the breakup happened when I was there too, just to throw that in there. But, you know, even then, like, for the same two reasons, like, you know, underemployment, a lack of employment, and, you know, my love situation not going the way I wanted, I found myself in, like, the same hole of despair, and I did the same thing to get out of it, right? But I'm noticing this time, like, it doesn't feel the same. Like, it kind of feels like just bleh. Like, I'm not on, like, this crazy just elation that I was the first time, right? So I started picking up yoga. And yoga, like meditation, like a bunch of other stuff, is a way to connect with your inner being, right? And this is something completely new to me. I've only been to like a few sessions, but I'm planning on keeping up because, you know, I need to get more flexible anyway. But anyway, so I went to a session of, what was that? I think that was last weekend. Yeah, that was last weekend for sure. And, you know, after that session, like, physically I felt great. Like, I was more loose than I had been like in the months prior. But, you know, emotionally though, I just all of a sudden just felt like this sense of anger. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? And, you know, I really think that, like, that last session, like, just kind of, like, brought that up for me. And it turned out to be, like, an anger that I had tucked away as a coping mechanism from, like, a year before. So long story short, I came to the conclusion that this anger was anger that I still had left over from my parents when I was still living in the house with them. You know, as I said, like, towards the end of that wasn't going so well. We didn't see eye to eye. Basically, I ended up just keeping my peace, just bottling my feelings, just holding my tongue pretty much, and just going along, because I realized the situation was, like, I was at their mercy anyway. I was in their house, so it wasn't a lot I could do in that regard anyway. So I ended up just keeping my mouth closed to keep the peace, to, you know, so I could just, like, as easily as possible focus on what I had to do, which was get the fuck out of there, right? Like, fact of the matter is, I was just way more focused on that than I was concerned about what was going on at home. So anyway, eventually, you know, got the job, held it for some months, you know, lost it again, right? And even when I lost my job again, like, I did one thing I said I was not gonna do. I didn't even tell them. Like, my dad ended up figuring it out a couple months later. But I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna tell them. I'm just gonna trust myself, trust the universe, do what I did what I didn't do the last time I was in this position, and just go from there. And then things ended up working out again. And what that ended up showing me is that, like, I didn't need them, or I don't need them, rather. Like, I'm finally at a place in life where I do not need my parents anymore. And it made me realize that this is the first time in my adult life where I completely felt this way. Because even when I was even when I was on my own, and like during all the time I was independent, before and last year, you know, I still was like, I still looked to them, if for nothing else, still for approval. You know, I still like felt like I had to get their approval or stay in their good graces, or like I still felt like just like this attachment to them in this like subservient way, you know. And when I came to realize that, it made me ask myself why I felt like that naturally. And then it just led me down a rabbit hole to where, like, I'm not gonna get into it, get into like the feelings, but it pretty much led to like me holding a lot of like resentment and anger from my parents. So that led me to make a really difficult decision, which is I'm pretty much just cut myself off, like, from them, and pretty much from the world at large, like just the world at large really, but including them. Now it's time for me to also do the other thing that I didn't do from the beginning when I first started my adulthood journey, which is choose me, follow my own intuition. And you know, right now I'm in the uncomfortable stage. Like, I recognize that it's a good thing, like, while it's still uncomfortable, which is how I know I'm growing, you know, because I know that I have to go through this stage to really get my bearings on standing on my own 2 feet. This is my first time I've ever really done it in my adult life, and I'm 33, about to turn 34 this year. But at the same time, it's like, it's also feeling almost like reborn again, you know. And like I just have to like just get used to it essentially. And there's another fucking helicopter. So what I'm realizing now is that when you finally begin to choose yourself for real, and commit to not being a people pleaser anymore, and stop living your life based on other people's perception of you, it feels like you're betraying people. It feels like you're hurting people's feelings. It feels like you're abandoning your friends and your family and stuff like that. It feels like they might be thinking of that about you. But keep in mind, like, up until now, like, if you're a people pleaser, you're used to viewing your life through the lens of other people. Once you finally start viewing it through yours, it seems like you're betraying them, because you almost feel like you owe that to them. But the thing is, like, from the womb to the tomb, the only thing you really owe anybody is your own happiness, you know. Like, as selfish as that sounds, but you have to understand that until you're at your happiest and healthiest, like, you can't be the best help that you can be to other people anyway, you know. Like, how can you give someone else CPR if you can't breathe right? It's that type of thing. And the basis of you being able to help others and to inspire others is for you to be as healthy as you can be, and as happy as you can be, and as inspired as you can be to do so. And in order to do that, you have to know yourself. And in order to do that, you have to really be okay with just being with and being with yourself, by yourself, and in your own skin. Like, you have to be okay with being just nobody but who you are. Because guess what? That's all you're gonna be in your last seconds. That's all you were in the beginning. You know, when we in that middle part between like adolescence and adulthood, and during adolescence and adulthood is when we pick up the shit that shapes us into the people who are meant to live the experiences that we're meant to live. And dude, reality is constantly reality, the world, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. I need to stop saying that, because I'm also going to make a new video about what's the difference between God and the universe. But anyway, the universe is constantly trying to shape you into the happiest, healthiest, most high vibrational version of yourself. Because keep in mind, like, we are eternal spiritual beings living a temporary human experience. That eternal spiritual being part of us is still the highest in vibration it can possibly be. So that's what naturally it wants for our lives. But sometimes it just takes the contrast. Sometimes it takes the bullshit. It takes the lessons to learn how to add to and maintain that. Like, that's essentially what navigating life comes down to, is navigating your feelings. Embrace the bad ones, embrace them, accept them, and let them go, and add to and protect and expand the good ones. That's my shadow work update. I'm gonna go back to choosing myself, choosing to be happy regardless of what I got, because why not? I mean, why not? Once you realize that happiness is a choice, just why not?